Welcome to this extraordinary meeting of the full council. I have a couple of practical issues to highlight. We have no fire drill planned tonight, so if there is a fire alarm, please make your way out of the building in a calm and orderly fashion, as guided by our staff, and going down the main staircase and out through the main exit on St. Peter's Street, or Bethel Street. People with mobility issues should gather in the foyer on the left-hand side as you leave. The chamber near to the balustrade where the assistance will be provided. Toilets are at the far end of the corridor, on either side of the chamber. Ladies that way and gents that way. I ask that if you need to leave and return to the council chamber during the meeting, you ensure that the doors do not slam after you, that you refrain from talking while other people are speaking. Please note that the meeting is being live streamed on the council's YouTube channel and that will be capable of repeated viewing. Item 1, can I have apologies for absence?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. We have apologies from Councillors Calvert, Kane, Galvin, Herkner, Price and Schmierer.
Are there any other apologies for this meeting? No, thank you very much. Item 2, declarations of interest. Councillors must disclose if they have any disclosable pecuniary interests or registrable or non-registrable interests. Are there any other declarations of interest? I see none. No? Thank you very much. I move to item 3 now. This is the Norwich City Council response to the MHCLG consultation on unitary proposals for Norfolk and Suffolk. I call upon Councillor Stannard to move item 3.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. On the 7th of May 2025, the Minister of State for Local Government and English Devolution wrote to Norfolk councils with feedback on interim plans submitted under the LGR programme. In response, Norwich City Council, working with Brexit District Council, Broadland District Council, Great Yarmouth Borough Council, Kingston and West Norfolk Borough Council and North Norfolk District Council, submitted a detailed proposal for 3 unitary councils across the county area of Norfolk. These proposals advocated for West Norfolk, East Norfolk and Greater Norwich unitary authorities to replace the existing 8 county, city, district and borough councils in the county. The proposal set out the concept and benefits of the 3 unitary model. It was not a full business case, as the final decision on detailed structures will rest with the new authorities once they are established. At the same time, Norfolk County Council proposed a single unitary authority for the county, while South Norfolk Council proposed a 2 unitary model for East and West Norfolk, encompassing all areas of the county. All 3 models are subject to consultation. Similarly, councils in Suffolk submitted their proposals and are going through the same process. The consultation on these models was launched on the 19th of November last year. It asked questions about each proposal to help inform its assessment of the best solution for the 2 counties. It is an MHCLG consultation, and it's MHCLG clearly who are consulting on the decision that the ministers will ultimately take. The consultation is scheduled for a period of 7 weeks and closes on the 11th of January. As an affected local authority in Norfolk, Norwich City Council is a statutory consultee for each of the proposals for both Norfolk and Suffolk. Before deciding whether to proceed with necessary legislation, the government is also seeking input from other statutory consultees, residents, businesses and stakeholders. So you'll see the consultation responses as they appear in appendices 1 and 2 have been developed by our offices in close consultation with the other district and borough councils which make up the 6 authorities proposing the 3 unitary bid. So our responses, you won't be surprised to hear, are very closely aligned. There is full consensus amongst these councils that answers to the multiple choice questions across all authorities should be the same. However, free text responses, while they are consistent, have been nuanced by each council. And this in particular from the point of view of Norwich includes reference to Wymondham and its neighbouring parishes, which were not included in the proposed Greater Norwich boundaries, albeit it was considered in the development of the boundaries and the six councils were split, and so therefore it didn't in the end appear. So our response sets out how inclusion would have benefited the case, whilst ensuring that it does not undermine the overall case for Greater Norwich boundaries that have been submitted. Working with its joint proposing authorities, Norwich City Council has promoted the invitation to respond to proposals to the other statutory consultees identified by government and local stakeholders, partners, businesses and residents through a dedicated communications plan. Following closure of the consultation, the government will consider responses and issue a minded to decision about which model will be adopted. That will be sometime in March or April 2026. Council, in this consultation response, we set out the strong case for a three unitary model for Norfolk and the benefits that will follow. We also set out why we believe a single county unitary or two unitary council model would fail the people of the county. I've spoken on these matters and have made the case many, many times, and tonight is not a night to repeat previous debates on matters where we have a consensus. However, I will comment this consultation response, I will commend, this consultation response to you with passion and enthusiasm as another step in the process of achieving a unitary Norwich for the benefit of all its residents. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, Councillor Stewart has put... I call upon Councillor Hampton, to second the motion.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Formally second and reserve the right to speak.
Thank you very much. Councillor Stewart has put forward an amendment which has been circulated. Councillor Stannard, do you accept the amendment?
Yes, Lord Mayor.
Then this will become the substantive motion, and I will invite group spokesmen to speak as follows. Could I have the representative of the Green Group, please?
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Stannard, for accepting the amendments. I want to begin by clearly setting out the Green Group's position this evening. We broadly support this response and we support the three unitary proposal for Norfolk. We recognise the quality of the work officers have put into this submission, and we agree that the three unitary approach represents the most credible and balanced option available. But for that model to succeed, government must match structural reform with adequate and sustained funding for transition and long-term delivery. The Green Group has shared a small number of proposed amendments with officers in advance. These were intended to strengthen the Council's case for unitary proposal under government scrutiny. I won't read them out. In fact, I don't need to say too much about them as they've been accepted, but I will just say why we wanted to put them in. But before I do, I should be clear that I'm speaking only to the Norfolk proposals this evening. Any views on Suffolk are properly a matter for the Green Groups in Suffolk. The amendments are guided by a simple principle. Government will not judge this proposal solely on structure for one-year finances. It will judge whether the proposed councils can deliver long-term outcomes in the face of climate pressure, demographic change and financial uncertainty. Our suggested wording makes explicit what is already implicit in the response, that the three unitary approach operates at a scale that supports joined-up delivery. In particular, it is better suited to bringing together planning, transport, housing retrofit, public health and environmental action in a way that reflects how people actually live and travel. That strengthens the case that this approach is not just preferable in principle but workable in practice. We've also suggested a small clarification around resilience and risk. The response already warns against over-centralisation and single-point failure. Our amendment builds on that by framing resilience as the ability to manage risk and adapt over time. Language government understands and which helps position the three unitary model as the lower risk option. Finally, we have suggested a short statement on democratic legitimacy and public confidence during transition. This is not a procedural request and it does not preempt government decisions. It reflects the fact that the response itself relies heavily on accountability, engagement and public trust as core strengths of the proposal. Making that connection explicit strengthens the credibility of the submission and reassures residents that reform is being approached responsibly. For the avoidance of doubt, the Green Group is not seeking to delay local government reorganisation, to add conditions or to introduce procedural hurdles. We're seeking to ensure that the Council's preferred option is presented as clearly and robustly as possible. Finally, the response rightly places strong emphasis on local accountability, democratic engagement and public trust. These are not abstract concepts. They depend on residents feeling their voices matter and that the government's changes are grounded in democratic legitimacy. Given the scale of change being proposed, clarity matters. Whereas submission relies so heavily on democratic legitimacy as a strength, it is important that no ambiguity about how those principles will be upheld during transition. Clear democratic continuity through the normal local election cycle strengthens rather than weakens the case for reorganisation. In summary, we support the 3 unitary proposal, we support the work officers have done, and we believe these amendments help future-proof the Council's case by addressing delivery, resilience and public confidence. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I believe Councillor Wright, you are the Liberal Democrat spokesman. Would you wish to address the Council, please?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. As Liberal Democrats, we believe that local government should be rooted in our communities, not remote from them. The 3 unitary model for Norfolk is the only proposal that truly respects our local identities, city, coast and countryside, and delivers services tailored to real needs. This model is backed by strong public engagement and evidence, something that has been borne out by conversations I've been having with local people during the last few months. It turns out that when you chat to people about LGR, they really get the 3 unitary model and find the single model absurd. 3 unitary avoids the risk of centralisation and bureaucracy, keeps decision making close to residents, and ensures financial resilience by spreading risk across 3 councils. Let's continue to reject the one-size-fits-all approach. Let's choose a future where every community has a voice and every resident can shape their home. We fully endorse the response to government being proposed this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Does any other council wish to speak? Yeah, I saw yourself. Would you like to speak?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Yes, I'll be supporting this as well. I think we've had a lot of talk about the 3 unitary model. I think probably everyone in this chamber believes it's the best way forward. I do have a kind of question, comment about page 27, where it says it aligns with the government's devolution agenda. So I just have a question really about the timeline for that, because the government said that all the statutory tests have been met back in October for the mayoral elections to go ahead, but then they cancelled them in December. What's the guarantee that devolution and LGR is currently on track? And how will there be local accountability and democratic legitimacy with the mayoral and the possibility of the local elections being cancelled in May? Thank you.
Saw yourself.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. As the Green Group has raised during this process, 15 long years of local government austerity issues will not be resolved by rearranging the deck chairs. The real solution is for the government to fund local government properly. Reorganisation will be inadequate without this. I agree with the points made regarding the different models and think they are well reasoned and argued with the information available. I am, however, very concerned about submitting a response on behalf of this council when there is now a live cabinet process without the appropriate scrutiny relating to the potential delay of elections. In that context, how should residents understand the council's repeated claims about democratic legitimacy and accountability and integrity that is within this response? To quote the consultation, principles of democratic representation. This is reasons for the 3 council model. Safeguarding local democracy, maintaining democratic accountability. And then when referring to the 1 unitary model, it says it undermines democratic representation. It would be extraordinary to submit a response built on democratic engagement and accountability, while days later asking government to suspend elections and therefore removing the democratic representation and accountability that we have just promoted. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any other councillors would speak? Matthew?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I'd just like to remind my Green colleagues that we sat here and debated whether we should move to 4 yearly elections about 18 months to 2 years ago. If we had done that, given we are on a yearly cycle, we follow the same boundaries, But actually, if we'd done that, we would have been in a situation where we wouldn't have elections for a further 2 years at this point. Therefore, I would recommend that Green colleagues consider their previous arguments around those elections and the necessity of holding elections when we are in a situation that it may well cause issues. I don't know. Ultimately, it's a decision for Cabinet to make, and I wouldn't want to preempt that. But I do need to highlight that just 2 years ago, there was somewhat of a clamouring for elections to be held on a 4-yearly cycle, which would have meant even less democracy than is being proclaimed right now.
Thank you very much. Councillor, wish to speak? Indeed, sir. Councillor Chapman.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I feel that's a bit of an iffy argument that's just been put forward about the 4-year cycle. I'm sorry, but if we change the system so that we had a 4-year cycle, that's an entirely different argument. The system as it stands right now is that councillors come up for election every 4 years. This is what is being...
Lord Mayor, I thought we were talking about the devolution thing and not about we're having elections or not and when we're doing it. I mean, this has nothing to do with the council meeting tonight. Somebody's out talking about, I don't know, the River Windsor again or something tonight, or the cat market in my area, which I'd like to know a few questions about. Can I move that we go straight to the vote? If I can get the second round up, we will do. Thank you.
So, do we move them straight to the vote now? If it's seconded. Yes, I think so. We move straight to the vote? Yes?
Thank you for the democracy and the discussion. It was enlivening.
So we move to the vote on one. So we're moving to the vote on the recommendation on the report. Those in favour? Yes, there was only we need to ask about anyone who was against or abstentions. I can confirm that this item has been carried. That is the end of the meeting. However, there will be a short break before the start of the Cabinet meeting, which will follow, and it will be the end of the meeting. That's right, 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. Thank you.